your birthday. We gon'
Oh, hey, what's up, you guys? How's it going? It's Papa, and today I am showcasing you guys my brand new White Forest deck profile that I just picked up for the upcoming format. And honestly, after play testing and after getting all the cards, I gotta say this deck is, of course, a lot of fun. Longtime viewers of the channel will know that I do really enjoy synchro summoning, partially because of Sword Soul, partially because I like playing Edison format. Basically, you name it, I really enjoy any chance I get to play synchros, and honestly, the fact that White Forest exists and it has a lot of really cool engines you can play with it is very fun. So I thought, why not go ahead and give this deck a try? And nowhere near do I believe that this is going to be the best deck of the format, because it's not.
No, not really. I can't back that up.
I really do think that people are really sleeping on this deck in terms of playability. I know there's a lot of different engines you can play with it. You can play the Centurion cards, you can play the Toy Box engine, and you can play the Runic builds. There's quite a few that you can do. I've even seen a couple Eldritch players, but let's not do that. Seriously, let's not do that. I, for one, have been very eager to play this deck in person, and honestly, now that I have all the cards, I feel confident to where I can go ahead and start doing that. I also haven't been recording duels at my locals, mainly because I knew the format was going to be changing since after we got Battles of Legend, and then we got Infinite Forbidden. Basically just two sets that kind of happened back to back from each other. So I haven't really been doing too much recording at locals, but now that we have Infinite Forbidden, now that Nationals is basically going to be over by the time I go to locals next week, I think I'm going to go ahead and start recording again. But I'm just rambling at that point. I know you guys want to see White Forest because I believe I'm like maybe one of 2 or 3 people that have actually posted this deck with cards on YouTube. But I am very excited to bring you guys the deck, so I'm not going to make you guys wait too much longer. I am going to go ahead and start the deck profile here shortly. But first, before we start the video, I want to go ahead and ask you guys to please like, comment, subscribe for more, because if you guys go ahead and like and subscribe, it lets me know that I'm doing something right. But yes, of course, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the deck profile. Of course, we are starting off with the main card. It is a Stellar of the White Forest. This card reads that you can send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard and special summon 1 light spellcaster tuner from your deck, and if a spell or trap card is sent from your graveyard to activate a monster effect while this card is in the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card. One of the cool things that White Forest does is that it basically just kind of keeps recurring itself back and forth between the effect monsters, between the spell and traps. Basically, you're just spamming the board every single time that your opponent basically does something, or every time like your cards leave. The cards just basically keep recurring themselves, and of course it's just a lot of fun to go ahead and do that, and it just makes your grind games a lot better when you can do such things. But of course we are just playing 3 because it's the best one. On top of that, we are also playing 3 copies of LZ of the White Forest, and this card reads as follows. You can send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard and special summon this card from your hand. Then you can add 1 White Forest monster from your deck to your hand except LZ. During your opponent's turn, if a light spellcaster tuner is special summoned to your field while this card is in your graveyard except during the damage step, you can add this card to your hand. So basically, just being able to gain you an extra search is very nice, and then also being able to just reoccur itself basically every single turn is also very good. The main issue with these cards is that they are all lights, and being that they are lights, the odds are a lot of people are going to be playing Lina now because the Fiendsmith cards are also light. These cards will essentially be getting eaten by Bystials every single turn if you are not playing Ghost Spell, which I am not because I like to live dangerously. But of course we play 3 LZ because you need 3. We are also on 3 copies of Sylvie of the White Forest. It's a shame that this card's a common because it's arguably one of the better cards in the deck. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 White Forest spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and if this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target 1 White Forest synchro monster you control or in the graveyard, and you can return it to the extra deck, and if you do, you get to special summon the card, but its effects are negated. So basically, this is also just what helps you keep extending from there, and it makes you basically be able to keep recycling the White Forest monsters from your graveyard back into the extra deck, so that way you can just keep doing the same plays every single turn and basically just controlling the board from here on out. So 3 of the Sylvies. And then for the last White Forest monster, we are playing 2 copies of Rusia, the White Forest. This card reads that if you control a White Forest monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you can send 1 spell or trap from your hand to the field to the graveyard and draw a card. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can quick effect, target 1 White Forest synchro monster you control or in the graveyard, return it to the extra deck, and if you do, you get to special summon this card, but it negates effects. So it's essentially the same effect as the Sylvie, but as opposed to that, it is essentially a not a D draw because you're only drawing one card, but you can basically just pitch a card, draw a card, and then if you're pitching one of the spells or traps, then you can basically set it back to your field and be able to just keep extending from there. And then the best part about the Sylvie and the Ruchia is that they are level 4 and they are also your tuners. So basically this is essentially what gets you going into your extra deck. So you definitely want to be playing multiple copies of those. For the spells for the White Forest, we are playing 3 copies of Tales of the White Forest. This card reads that if you control an illusion or spellcaster monster, you can add 1 White Forest monster from your deck to your hand, and if this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set this card. So this card is essentially a Rhoda, but it also has the extra usage to where it can basically just keep adding itself back to where if you need to activate a White Forest effect to basically get it onto the field, then you can always set this card back, and since it is a normal spell card, you can go ahead and activate it the same turn that it is set, so it is very strong there. I do want to be able to see as many White Forest cards as possible since there are just so many different ways of getting to it in this deck, so you definitely want to go ahead and maximize 3 copies of this because you can always recycle them back, and it's not too bad if you're discarding them because they just come right back anyway. So 3 of the Tails. And for the trap card of the deck, we are playing the 1 Woes of the White Forest. This card is really strong. It reads that you can special summon 1 White Forest monster from your hand or deck, then immediately after that it gets to synchro summon a White Forest monster from the extra deck, and then if this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set this card. So basically the spells and traps have the same effects to where if they are sent to activate a monster effect, they can just go ahead and reset itself. But then this card also is very strong because it helps you synchro during your opponent's turn, basically helping it to where you can go into one of the Whitewoods extra deck monsters to be able to Book of Eclipse your opponent's field. So it's very strong there. You only need 1 though because it is a trap card, so it is just a little bit slower than usual, but of course you can always just keep adding this card back, so it's very strong. So that's going to do it for the Whitewoods engine, or White Forest engine. I'm still saying Whitewoods because I've been testing this deck on DB and I'm not used to the name change yet. It is 15 cards for the Whitewoods engine, so you definitely need to play at least this. You can play the super rare spell card if you want to. I haven't done too much testing with it yet, but I mean, if you really like it and it tickles your fancy, go ahead and try it, and if you do try it, please let me know in the comment section down below. So then the best part about this deck is that there are multiple engines that you can test with it, and the engine that I chose to go ahead and play with it is the Toy engine. So we are on 1 copy of Toy Tank and 2 copies of Toy Soldier. For those that don't know, these cards just came out in Battles of Legend Terminal Revenge, and they haven't really seen too much play because a lot of people were expecting to be playing this deck or playing this engine with the White Forest deck. What it reads is that you can set this card from your hand to your spell and trap zone as a spell, and then you can only use each of the following effects of Toy Soldier once per turn. If the set card in the spell and trap zone is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card, and if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 toy box from your deck to your hand. Or if you control a toy box, then you can add a level 4 light monster instead. So the best part about these cards is that if you already control toy box, which odds are that you are going to, says you play 3 of it, but I'll get to that in a second, then you can go ahead and add 1 of your White Forest level 4s instead, so basically grabbing yourself the tuner, which is very strong. And then also, since they do count as spell and traps, then you can go ahead and send them to activate your White Forest cards as well, so it's very strong there. Toy Tank is essentially very similar as Toy Soldier. What this card does is that you can set this card from your hand to your spell and trap card zone as a spell, and then you can use each effect of Toy Tank once per turn. If this set card in the spell and trap zone is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card, and you can also tribute this monster to special summon 1 level 6 or lower monster from your hand, or if you control Toy Box, you can special summon a level 6 or lower monster from your graveyard instead. So basically, if you go ahead and use the effect to summon a level 6 monster from the graveyard, then you can actually go ahead and summon your level 6 synchros back from the graveyard as well, so it's very strong there, as long as they're properly summoned, of course, because that's just how mechanics work. But of course, on top of the Toy engine, we are playing the 3 copies of Toy Box because you want to be able to see these cards as fast as possible because they just pair so well with your Whitewoods engine. What Toy Box does is that once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send 1 face down card you control to the graveyard and destroy that opponent's monster. Toy Box also has 2 additional effects, the second effect being that you can destroy up to 2 cards in your spell and trap zone. The other effect is that from your hand, deck, face-up monster zone, and or graveyard, you can choose up to 2 monsters with Toy in their original name, and you can set themselves from the hand as a spell and set them in your spell and trap zone as spells. So basically being able to keep reoccurring your toy monsters, making it to where you have just additional bodies to help you keep synchroing, make you link climb, whatever it may be. Of course, they're light, so it really gives you nice access to Lina as well. and then it also just helps you make Little Knight, or it makes you make a Dweller, an Apollosa, whatever it could be. It just has many usages, and you basically just get to keep extending from there. So you have to play the Toy Engine in this deck because I just feel it just pairs so well with your White Forest lineup. Moving on to the non-engine, of course, you get to play some hand traps. So we are on 3 copies of Ash Blossom. It just feels the most generic to play right now. I am actually on 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. I feel like Droll and Lockbird is going to be a really big mainstay in this upcoming format. Basically, very good against Yubel. It's good against Fire King Snake Eye, or not Fire King Snake Eye, the Fiend's Nest Snake Eye, my apologies. The only thing that kind of sucks with drawing Droll is that if they already start off with Snake Eye Ash, then the Droll is kind of just whatever. I mean, you're basically doing this for when they go Wanted, or they go the Bonfire to search. But honestly, Droll is still very good. It's also really good against Rogue. It's pretty decent against Branded as well, which you're probably going to be seeing a lot of as well. It's pretty decent against Tempai, I guess, but honestly, it just has multiple usages, so I just opted to play 3 copies of Droll. And then of course we're on 3 copies of Effect Failure because it's just one of the more generic hand traps you can play. 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence because it helps you play around cards like Talents. And speaking of talents, we are also playing 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents, as well as 1 Call by the Grave to basically help you get your engine going from there. You could play Crossout Designator if you want to. I'm not playing Crossout in this list. You could side deck it, you can main deck it. It really is just personal preference. This is just my rough draft of the deck. I just wanted to go ahead and bring it to you guys because I wanted to just basically get my feet in the water, just get me into a position where I get comfortable with the deck before I start doing anything super crazy with it. But I just felt like this was a very nice lineup. And then also pairing with the cards, I play a Mannadium Reframing. You could side deck this card if you want to. I am playing the Visas Amritara in the extra deck, spoiler alert, and being able to end on that basically helps you get to this, which is essentially an Omni Negate, so you want to be able to play that to protect your board. So that's going to go ahead and round up the non-engine. And then the last 3 cards we're playing in the deck is 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. So this card is very strong, of course. Being able to just dig into your extra deck is always very good. Being able to just see whatever you need to see. The only drawback that Pot of Prosperity has is that if you activate the Pilica to draw a card, then you can't activate Prosperity, but it's honestly fine because you have different triggers that you can do with the White Forest cards to basically just send cards to keep extending. So you can always ditch dead copies of this. It really is not a problem at all. But yeah, guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for the main deck. It is, of course, a clean 40, no more, no less. Of course, we're going to go into the extra deck. We are on the 1 copy of Arcelia, the 1 copy of Silvera, and of course, we are on 1 copy of Diabel, Queen of the White Forest. So essentially what these cards do, Arcelia, Sinister Soul of the White Forest, it reads that if this card is special summoned, you can send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard and add 1 White Forest card or 1 light spellcaster monster from your deck, which is very cool because if you already have a White Forest card that you need to keep extending, then you can also add Effect Veiler since it is a light tuner. Also, while this card is on the field, Illusion and Spellcaster Synchro monsters you control gain 500 attack and they cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. So that's very strong. Helps you play around cards like Lightning Storm, helps you just play around just whatever it is that may be popping your shit. Silvera, Wolf Tamer of the White Forest, reads that if this card is special summoned, you can change all face-up monsters your opponent controls to face-down defense position, and then Illusion and Spellcaster Synchro monsters you control gain 500 attack, and then if they attack a defense position monster, you get to inflict double piercing battle damage to your opponent. So the card is very strong for just dealing extra forms of damage, and then it is mainly there because you get to Book of Eclipse your opponent's field. And lastly, Diabel, Queen of the White Forest. This card reads that if it is synchro summoned using a tuner synchro monster, you can target spell card or trap card in your graveyard and you can add it to your hand. Very good for getting cards like Pot of Prosperity back, getting your Tales of the White Forest back, your trap card back. You could even get Infinite Impermanence back. Whatever you need, this card is there to do it. If your opponent activates a card or a quick effect, you can send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard, and you can special summon 1 level 7 or lower tuner synchro monster from your extra deck, graveyard, or banishment. And that is very strong because since a lot of the extra deck is light and dark, then you can go ahead and summon them back from the banish. Which is very, very strong for basically when your opponent Bastiles you. But it's also really good because you get to play cards in the extra deck that essentially get you much more advantage as well. And that's also how you get to summon out the Silvera to basically Book of Eclipse your opponent. That's going to go ahead and do it for the White Forest monsters. We are playing 1 copy of Ultimate Silken to complement the extra deck. Basically, this card helps you summon out Crystal Wing because you're playing a lot of level 6s in the extra deck, so basically you get to use 2 6s to make Sulkin, and basically just gives you a free Quisling, so why would you not want to do that? So we just play the 1. We play 1 copy of Zapper Shrimp. This is a new card from the Infinite Forbidden as well. It is a level 2 tuner, which is very fun because it's full sprite combo. This card reads that if this card is special summon, you can send 1 other card from your hand or field to the graveyard, then you can target 1 spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. And then you can also, during your opponent's main phase, you can synchro summon using this card. But one of the better parts that this card does is that it is spell and trap removal, so it can help you get rid of cards like Sanguine Summoning, Blessing of the Voiceless Voice, whatever it may be. Just Zapper actually has a lot of good usages. I like this a lot more than Formula Synchron right now, so I have been playing this, and I honestly don't regret it. For another level 6, we play 1 copy of Stardust Charge Warrior. This could be Coral Dragon, this could be Tri-Edge Master. I opted for Charge Warrior because it is just a free draw, and then since you have so many other tuners to basically get you into your Diabell or your Crystal Wing or your Visas, whatever it may be, I just wanted to have a level 6 synchro that is just generic enough to just give me some extra advantage and be able to draw me into possibly more hand traps. So just 1 copy of Charge Warrior. Of course, we are on the Visas Amritara because this is what gets you to the Mannadium Reframing to basically help you protect your board on your turn 1, so definitely only need 1 of this. I play 1 copy of Crystal Wing because you can summon this off of the Zulkin, and then it's also accessible because all it takes is a non-tutor Secret Monster and 1 tuner, so you can use the Charge Warrior and you can also use one of the Diabells, so or not the Diabells, one of the White Forest cards. But basically this card is just very strong, so I don't see why you wouldn't want to play it. And then this is actually a Chaos Angel. It's technically a Crimson Dragon, but you could play Crimson Dragon if you want to, but this is supposed to be a Chaos Angel. I have mine lent out right now, so I don't have the Chaos Angel for the profile, so sorry. And then I'm actually on 1 copy of Abyss Dweller and 1 copy of Typhon for Xyz monsters. I felt like this was fine. You actually have a lot more room in this extra deck than you would think. So basically I just opted to play Dweller because it's really good against Fiendsmith, and then it's also really good against Branded. It just has multiple usages, so I just figured why not play a Dweller, and then Typhon is just there for your oh shit situations. So 1 and 1. And then rounding off the deck, we have the Link package. So we play 1 copy of Lina because basically we're going to see a lot more light monsters this format, since the Fiendsmith cards again are all lights, and then you can make this card with ease with all of your lights that you play in the deck. And then you also play the 1 copy of Little Knight, 1 Masquerena. This card's debatable. You can really cut this card for something else if you really want to, but so far I've been liking it. And we are on 1 Apollousa to round off the extra deck. But yeah guys, that is actually going to do it today. I don't have a side deck for you guys today because of course I was just trying to showcase you guys the new cards. I haven't taken this deck to my locals just yet because it hasn't been legal to play for my locals, but best believe this upcoming week I will be playing it for locals because I am just curious to see how the deck will do. I've been enjoying play testing it online. I think it has a lot of great matchups against a lot of decks in the format, and it's also just a lot of fun. So it's definitely going to be one of the more affordable decks post Infinite Forbidden as well, and honestly the cards just look amazing. I can't really complain too much, but let me know what you guys think about the deck. I know this was a long one, but you know, sometimes you just need a little long one in your life. Yeah, that's about it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and of course if you like this video, please again give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and until next time, this has been Papa, and I will catch you all in my next video.